and the NCCE, we are backed up with our act. That is, the government mandates given to us. Our act was, first of all, was in 1993, 1989, 1993, and recently in 2022, our act has been amended with so many additional functions attached to the NCCA. So based on our act, we are in a position to regulate the colleges of education in Nigeria. Equally, the NCCA also facilitated the act of the colleges of education. Now, the colleges can now run what we call dual mode. They can do the NC usual program and also the degree program. Before now, we used to, the colleges used to run degree in affiliation. With this, now the colleges can now run degree, but to be supervised by NUC. So these are some of the things we have done, and we also have so many structures we have put in place, right, to make sure that the colleges function properly. We have what we call our minimum standard. Now, that our minimum standard, we review it every five years, but now we are reducing the number of years for us to review it. And at the moment, we are in the process of reviewing the curriculum to fall in line with the new trends of things. Especially, like I've mentioned in my speech, that especially the computer education, we are unbundling that program because it appears to be omnibus. It's just large. We are following the trend of things. We want to see how we can bring, for instance, software engineering education, how we can bring in AI education, networking education, and so on, breaking it down so that we can have specialists in these areas, and not just computer science. When you graduate and ask somebody to do a little bit of programming, you'll be running a task, and not be able to function. So, yes.
You were just supposed to introduce yourself briefly.
All right, thank you. Let's.
All right, so again, brief introduction.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anthony Adejimo. I'm the Deputy Director, ICT, National Universities Commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know you were now too short. You were supposed to say.
Okay. Well, let me.
As much
as him. Okay, well, NUC, we are a regulatory agency. We regulate university education in Nigeria, and what we have done in the past is we continue to ensure that we rejig our curriculum. Apart from rejigging the curriculum, we also ensure that we collaborate with other agencies, international bodies, to ensure that the issue of research innovation is, in short, we are actually getting a lot of effort so that university can be competitive with other universities outside Nigeria. So we are doing a lot in NUC. We are collaborating on AI.
No, you get to that.
Okay, thank you.
Just hold that. Thank you very much. So the next question is, so this is a gathering of directors of ICT, and as regulatory bodies, we want to know that before now, there have even been suggestions that as academic programs have been accredited, maybe we need, in a bit to standardize ICT infrastructure services, maybe there's perhaps a need to go look at standardizing and accrediting ICT in institutions. So around that discussion, can you just share with us what are some of your expectations as far as ICT is concerned in each of your sectors? You know, from an NUC's perspective, when you get to a university, what are you expecting? You know, from an NCC's perspective, when you get to a college of education, what are you expecting as far as ICT penetration, access and deployment, adoption is concerned? Please.
Thank you very much. In 2017, thereabout, AUC came out with a roadmap, which are one of the key points of that roadmap is ICT-enabled campuses. Why do they do that? We feel that with the disruption in IT, our campus should be smart. Not just smart, sensitive. Our campus, you should be able to do research. You should be able to collaborate. You should be able to share resources. So we see ICT as not just enabler. We see ICT as the main backbone of driving access to university education. So for us in AUC, we believe ICT is the hedge. If you have ICT, if you have a good smart campus, then you can do wonders. And I'll tell you what, before 2023, before we make that revitalization agenda, one of the best gifts AUC gave to the university system, even though the plan was beyond the university system, was giving the platform NGREN. Because for us, we realized that we need ICT to drive so many things. We need ICT to do research. We need ICT to innovate. We need ICT to collaborate. So NUC came out with the idea of NGREN. And if we actually understand what NGREN is going to do for us, I believe before every director of ICT leaves this place, you should be onboarding on NGREN, because NGREN is a platform that helps you to solve a problem you feel that you cannot solve alone. Thank you.
I'm not sure your response was supposed to capture some marketing.
No. It's not actually marketing, it's ICT. And I feel that, you see, we expect a lot in terms of ICT from the university system. That's why we keep coming out with so many ideas. Before we had ICT policy. Why do we come out with ICT policy? Because we feel that when there is a policy, it will help you to drive, access to, to university education. For example, the first, during the plenary, I think Professor Adedoku said something which I really appreciated. He said, do you have ICT policy and ICT strategy? And, I was like, wow, that is exactly what I want to talk about. Because with ICT policy and strategy, that will give you direction of where you are going. And when we talk about collaboration, if you want to collaborate without ICT policy and strategy, then what are you collaborating? Nothing. For you to collaborate, this is the only document that will give you the rule to drive your collaboration. It will give you the insights to know what to collaborate about. It will also help you to know who to collaborate with. Thank you.
I know you are ready to speak more. Thank you, Mr. Adedoku. So,
it's all right. Thank you so much.
Expectations.
Yes.
Education, in terms of what the DICT is here, what the regulator.
Yes. To those of them that are here, most of them are aware, or they are aware of the efforts of the NCCE in driving ICT in our colleges. First of all, I want to start from what we call our minimum standard. Right? Our minimum standard has in place all the necessary infrastructure you need to have in place in order to mount computer education. Also, in the minimum standards, we have a policy that all students that will pass through the NC program must be digitally literate. So, in the document, we have built in 2 GS courses, general courses on computer studies. In that case, any student that passes through the NC program should be able to live online, do a lot of things with the computer on his own or her own. That is one aspect that we have put in place within our minimum standard. Equally, in 2014, the NCCA looked at a particular program which we call micro-teaching program in our colleges. Because when our students, when they leave, they go to the classroom to teach. So how do we make this to be effective, to build their confidence, to ensure that they are sound to go out and teach, at the basic education level? So this micro-teaching program, with the help of TED Fund, we're able to build what we call multimedia micro-teaching laboratories in about 54 colleges at that time. Now it has increased with new colleges coming in, up to about 60 that we have built. What we have in this lab, those of the ICT that are here, we have a smart board, we have internet connected, we have the software we have LMS and so on built into it. This is to ensure that such students are able to learn digitally before they go out. And what is a micro-teaching? For those of us that are not in education, micro-teaching is a program within education system where you collect some group of students, they will take turn to teach other students. So with the aid of this interactive board, they are able to record, their teaching, and they can also have it stored in their flash or their computer so that when they go out, you'll be able to learn from what they have done. So I'm still coming, sir. Yes, we are expecting that the colleges should be properly ICT driven. I personally am expecting that with time, the way the banks have embraced ICT, the way the telecommunication industries have embraced ICT, right from the first step, you step into the bank until you finish all the processes ICT driven. So we are also expecting that with time, as soon as a student is admitted into our colleges, it's expected right from registration to every aspect, to lectures, to everything should be ICT driven. In this case, ICT is not just something we say is add-on, but ICT will be driving the system. So this is our expectation. Thank you.
So we've heard expectations from the regulators. There will be an opportunity for the participant to ask the regulators questions also. But my follow-up question to the panel is that you have expectations from our people. One of the speakers talked about 5 areas that institutions generally need intervention. You mentioned planning, you mentioned power, you mentioned capacity building, you mentioned infrastructure, you mentioned access. These are things that directors of ICT through ComDICT have identified as important for the development of ICT. So the next question would be, and I think I'm reading the minds of the people, is that these are things that the ICTs know are required. What kind of support is the regulator providing? Is there any special intervention that, as a regulator, you're providing for bandwidth for universities, for example? Is there any intervention that you're providing for energy? Are there some colleges of education that are in remote places where energy is a challenge? And what is the regulator doing to support those institutions? And following that is, even when we provide some of these things, for example, these labs that you talked about, sir, what is the sustainability plan for some of these labs? Do we foresee that those labs will still be available or even put in use in the next 5 years? So let me start with the NUC. NUC. Look at those 5 pillars, to drive ICT. Is there any NUC, playing any role? Are you rolling out? Do you have plans for 2025 to do some capacity building, for VICTs, for ICT institutions, etc., power, bandwidth? Maybe from here you rise and say you're giving each university 50 beds or something, free bandwidth. Yeah, you could plan that. You could see that based on a need and say, look, mentioned by Chafe in his presentation.
Right. Thank you very much. You all know AUC, we're not rich in AUC. I have to be truthful. We are not rich in NUC to be able to provide those funds, but we are rich in collaboration. In the past, NUC have been doing a lot for the Nigerian university system. We have been speaking on behalf of the Nigerian university system, and we have tried to get grants for university system in the past. And we are still doing the same thing. For us, we feel that, I think, let me first of all commend this forum, the ICT ComDICT forum, because what I've seen here is that you are giving us opportunity to rethink our strategy in terms of ICT. Because all along I've been discussing with my brother here about what we need to do. I know we have tried to do a lot of things in the past, but for one reason or the other, we could not achieve them. But I'll tell you what, if we know, since you have mentioned what you need, we know that there is issue of bandwidth in the university system. And that was one of the reasons that engineering was created at that point. Because we know that a lot of university pay a lot of money for bandwidth. For example, people are paying as much as 45 million or thereabout on one STM then, which we feel that was too high. So when we came out with that idea, we said, okay, let's do what we can. Let's collaborate and at the same time be able to buy bandwidth, negotiate with telcos to bring the price of bandwidth down. And well, thank God Dr. Shafi is here. That was exactly what brought the price of bandwidth down at a point when NUC and through engineering, negotiated price of bandwidth. At that time, bandwidth came down. But you see, for me, I still believe the university system, or let me just say the tertiary education system, we are an underserved environment when it comes to ICT. And unfortunately, we have not leveraged on the opportunity that we have in the past, which I feel if NUC can work with MBT and NCCE, we will be able to solve the issue of bandwidth. In NCC, there is a department called USPF. There is a lot of fund in that department. And the purpose of that department is to ensure that the underserved area are well served in terms of ICT infrastructure. So, which is an area we can actually collaborate with. We tell her this area is critical to the system. We can sit down and discuss with, the NUC, NCC, and MBT can sit down and discuss with NCC and said, this fund you have in this area, can you please start using this fund for such purpose? I recall there was a time, when we did unique projects, through NCC. It was still USPF that funded it. At the point they said they want to give 8 MB to university. I told them, I said, no. Even our university are running one STM. So why are you giving them, eventually, I don't know if they did that. But see, what we are saying is this. If we come collectively to agree on a purpose, I can assure you that NUC, NCC, and MBT can collaborate to drive that purpose and ensure that you get government funding for bandwidth capacity. Thank you.
And just before we get responses from NCC, just to prepare you, sir, you are about to tell the colleges of education what you want to give them. I'm just preparing you for what you are going to say. But before that, immediately after he responds, we'll open the floor for people to comment and ask questions. But one of the benefits of this interaction is to challenge, not challenge, but to ask our regulators to look at various, in fact, there may be something that the regulator is not thinking about, that maybe people at this floor would even point you to. So that's part of the benefit of this interaction. So you have just 2 minutes, sir, to tell
all right, thank you.
NCC is giving quality of education in terms of power, in terms of bandwidth, data centers, and so on and so forth, sir.
It's all right, thank you very much. My response in terms of giving is not different from what my NUC friend has said, the budgets of the colleges are even more than the budget of NCCE annually. We have very limited budget merely to be able to survive as an agency. So, coming here to say we are giving you ICT infrastructure in this, we are giving you bandwidth, and so I'm telling you, that means I'm not telling you the truth. But however, we have been working with development partners to ensure that some of these things are brought to your doorsteps. Now, last year, we were able to work with NCC, right? Charity Begins at Home. They gave us a broadband in NCCE, in addition to what we have already on ground. And in that, we added 2 colleges of education to tell NCC, please, depending on your fund, please add to these 2 colleges. So they were able to give them a broadband, right? So as long as we are able to get in touch with all these development partners to do this, why not? We ensure that we bring this to your doorsteps. Then I remember that we're a partnership with Huawei, right? And we signed an MOU with Huawei some years back, where we have started training students from our colleges, where they also do talent hunts. I think last year some of our students were taken to China, right, for the final talent hunt program. So my ES was also in China then with them. So I can assure you that we are working to ensure that we bring some of these things to your colleges. Now, in that MOU with Huawei, we are training, we are onboarding all colleges of education in Nigeria. We are onboarding all colleges of education in Nigeria into the Huawei ICT Academy platform. And already we have onboarded 60 colleges. Yes, no, and they are not setting academy up in the colleges. Huawei has ICT Academy platform. So we are onboarding the colleges into such platform. And in the first instance, we are training about 2,000 students, right? So these are some of the efforts we are making to ensure that ICT drives the system within our college of education.
Thank you very much, sir. So we now open the floor. Yes, for the questions. So people, okay. So numbers again. 1 with 1, 2, Chairman 3, number 4, sir. So we have 4 people for now. So the microphone, please come and give the microphone to number 1. We have 4 questions.
Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Taylor, Director of ICT, Lagos State University. So we are privileged to have you here today as our regulators. And we feel that there are certain things that have bothered us so much. Maybe you are not aware that this type of opportunity forum provides an opportunity for you to hear and maybe take deliberate steps to address some of these challenges. We have tried to raise it up. I believe our officials will be contacting you. It is good to hear from us. There is a high level of turnover in appointments of directors of ICTs in our tertiary institutions. It has become a trend. After 2 years or 3 years, the DICT is changed. And there is a lot of inconsistencies in implementing ICTs at these tertiary institutions. And that contributes to the challenge. But that's a major factor to why we're not sustaining what we are doing in our institutions. And except we are very deliberate in addressing this,
we'll continue moving around the cycle and we'll achieve nothing. There is a provision by our professional bodies. In fact, in the medical profession, before you can practice as a doctor, you must be certified by those professional bodies. In the ICT sector also, before you can practice ICT, talk less of him being appointed as a director of ICT, you must be a member of Computer Professionals of Nigeria, or even Nigerian Society, Computer Society. But we wake up in our institutions and our chief executives will just arise and appoint anybody to come and be a director of ICT, who knows next to nothing. I'm sorry to say that. But it is going on. Sir, as a regulatory body, can you be very deliberate in also putting these things down on pen and paper, so that there should be a standard. Let our chief executives know that before you appoint anybody, let these people be members of the professional bodies. So you can imagine people who belong to this group, for instance, or who belongs to CPN or SCS, they are very up to date with development. But if those people don't know, and then you appoint them, at the end of it all, you just go through the same cycle and you achieve nothing. Please, I want to request that you deliberately look into this matter. If it means initiating policies and the Federal Ministry of Education coming down to the regulatory bodies, that will help, and it will address this problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So that's number one. Number two, where's number two? Okay, number two is all the way here. Sorry, okay, give it to the young lady, please. She will help us. So that you can come. Thank you. Don't worry. Number two. Number three, please get ready. Where's number three, please? Where's...
Mine is a comment. The challenges while we battle with financing, the onus now to universities particularly is that we can also look outward in terms of looking for external grants. Universities like ABU, Unilag, even Covenant, they are very, very, very apt. They pursue these external grants. So it's something that our universities can look at. And for the role of the DICT, in Covenant University in particular, Mr. Bola, I mean, he's very good at writing grants, and you see the way Covenant University pursue all these grants. So when the universities pursue grants, and they come to Nigeria, they come to Nigeria government, they say they want to do something for Nigeria government. They look at NUC, and NUC is the central the agency that channels all external grants. So NUC now channels these grants to the university system, and we can be able to mitigate some of these challenges like broadband, infrastructural issues. So this is just a key area that our universities can look at.
Thank you very much. That's noted. Of course, we'll get responses from the platform here. Thank you. Number three, please. Okay, here.
Thank you. I'm interested in what NCC mentioned. I would want to know what Huawei want to benefit from what they are doing for the purpose of education. But I also want to know, aside the trade, because what I have done is when I've engaged Huawei at some point, part of what we are suffering in Nigeria is that we are substantially being shortchanged by OEMs and even software development. When I found myself in US and way back in 2008, in Iowa State University, they were giving, for example, Microsoft a 25% value. What do I mean? That if Microsoft was selling for $10 in the market, if I go to buy, a university student or the university gets it at $2.5. So, for example, yes, here our students being trained with Huawei products, but they will never find any Huawei products to practice with. So what are we talking about?
they will not have the opportunity, because if you come to me now, you say you're a Huawei certified engineer, the next thing I know is that if I give you a job, you want to deploy Huawei equipment in my university. But by the time I look at the price of equipment you are giving me, I will tell you, sorry, I can't afford it. Of course, TP-Link is there, the D-Link is there, and some cheesy equipment. But we know what happens. Those equipment fail quickly. Because they are designed quickly only for a market for cheaper. But we want to have the best of the equipment in our institution. We want to have Huawei, we want to have Cisco, we want to have Juniper. You know, these solid equipment, we want to have them. Because they also have a longer shelf life. Because if you don't have money to change everything, they have a longer shelf life. Because whatever it is, even if it's dealing, you tell tomorrow your radio is bad, next day you go back to your kitchen, and you will start looking at you as if you are playing a game somewhere. So I think NCC should hold Huawei by the throat and say, look, we are doing this, we are training our people in this. What are you going to give us in terms of having the equipment deployed? Hopefully we will get them to talk tomorrow. But we are saying that they must substantially reduce the cost of equipment so that we can access them to build our networks. If they really want us to progress in having their equipment, or else we'll be going in circle. The idea of the academy, we all know, is just to get people trained and hooked into that business. Then each time you talk to them, it's just like Cisco engineer. When you talk to him, he will tell you that as far as concerned, you have to buy Cisco equipment. But Cisco engineer, if he designs the network for Cisco and put Cisco equipment, you can't afford it. Institutions can't afford it. But we need it. It's very critical. We need it. Because that's the best of equipment. So we should have the best. Why are we having? So I'm just saying, so that NCC should look at that relationship. It should be symbiotic. That means you benefit and benefit. Because the training, yes, we are getting global training, but how many of our people will leave Nigeria to go to where Huawei equipment are installed? We need to install them here, but then how do we get them installed in the higher institutions? It's not just about the theory of it, but the practice of it is also very important.
Thank you very much. Before we take number 4, I just want to amplify 2 things that the chairman said. And this applies to both regulators. The thing about economy of scale bargaining. So if NUC or MBT says, look, for you to access it, Microsoft, for you to sell licenses for Office or Microsoft itself in our universities, we require that the cost should not be more than X. You understand? I mean, if you are speaking from that top level, you know, and you are publishing that information to our institution, that look, there's this opportunity. There was a time that NUC actually gave institutions bulk licenses, and I think that should be looked into. Regulatory institutions can buy these licenses in bulk or negotiate in bulk for us, and that way we're able to buy and get energy costs. The second thing that the chairman talked about was, you know, getting technology fit for purpose. In other words, it's not compulsory that we just embrace any kind of technology. Somebody should be helping us to think far ahead. Ask that, is this technology or is this free training even going to pay our institution in the long run? So these are things that ComDICT, for example, can work with the regulatory. You can throw this challenge to ComDICT and say, look, we are thinking in this direction. What is your thought? What do you advise? We are more than ready to support. Number 4, at the back. I hope no other person. Yes, number 4. Okay, thank you. So that's the last of the question. Then we'll get brief responses so that we can close this session.
Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me. We know that there have been so many interventions, either from TED Fund and from other agencies, to our colleges. And sometimes when you visit these colleges, you wonder, when you look at the level of infrastructure and the facility available in terms of ICT in those colleges. And I believe that our regulatory body should be definite in evaluating or in follow-up on some of these interventions that are given to colleges. And I'm happy when the moderator was talking that one of the way would be to say it can be a kind of yardstick to say that away from here, we want to see what the colleges are doing, if they have to be accredited, if they have to be given we want to see this and this put in place. I think if this is done, it will help. It will help a lot to ensure that our chief executive are doing the needful and they are following up. they are doing the needful. Because when you look at even the micro teaching you talk about, micro teaching labs, and you see the state of those micro teaching labs today in some of our colleges, they are in serious deplorable conditions due to all other facilities, ICT facilities. I think in a way, our regulatory body has a major role to play in following up and keeping tab to see whether those interventions that are given actually been utilized. That's number one. I also want to ask maybe some of the colleges too. There are a number of interventions that are still outstanding, maybe with headphones, and then for some of us, when we came on board, we are finding difficulty in actually getting some of these interventions. And because it is not about a CEO sitting down to say, this is what we want to use it for. I think the DSCs in all various institutions should also be carried along, because we know what is needed for our people, and all of us should be working together. What is our regulatory body doing in this regard? Thank you very much. These are my questions.
Thank you very much. That's a question on, there's a touch about sustainability there also, that beyond the interventions, what role can the regulatory bodies play in sustaining the interventions? So we are at the closing session of this part of this session. We'll just allow each person to take 5 minutes to respond to the questions, and then I'll give each one of them 1 minute to have their closing remarks. So response, 5 minutes. NCC.
Right, thank you once more. The first comment was on the turnover of the ICT and those that are not qualified. That we are aware, the NCC is working on a policy that will make sure that all the ICTs in our colleges are ICT professionals. Those that have good ICT knowledge. Aside that, apart from just maybe non-academic staff being in the ICT, it is also possible to take the ICT from the computer education department. In that case, we are also dealing with ICT professional. So we are working on a policy on this, very soon to be rolled out. Now, talking about Huawei package, our MOU with Huawei. Now, that's from when Huawei first of all came with their proposals, I was a little bit skeptical. I asked, how are you going to gain, or how are you going to recoup your investment in what you are doing? Because this should be mutual, right? And they said what they are doing is part of their corporate responsibility to train our students on their platform, giving them digital skills first, right? It's not just based on Huawei equipment. First of all, a general ICT skill, right? To be able to do a lot of things with IT before they now look at some area that are specialized. So we look at it. The NCC is not losing, the colleges are not losing, the students are not losing. So how they gain this is probably by selling their equipment, right, to government bodies and to colleges and to others. So what we are tapping from is from their profits. whether it is cost effective. Whatever they are selling to us, compared to other products, whether it is not a rip-off. This is an area we need to look into. As for that, then looking at economic of scale in bargaining, right? In the past, we tried to, get bandwidth, right, for some colleges and so on. That was so many years back, and we went into collaboration and so on. But somehow, the thing did not work the way we expected. But right now, we are also working with a private company. It's a telecom company that we are going into partnership with, that they are ready to set up internet facilities in the colleges. Our own is to ensure that the rate at which they will sell their data should not be different from what the students can get from other networks. And also because we are looking at many colleges, for instance, over 200 colleges of education. So we expect that the data rate and whatever should be low compared to others. So we are also looking at that and we are working towards it. Follow up on interventions. Yes, we at the NCCE, we have structures in place. There's what we call monitoring of academic standard. We do this every year, where we go out and monitor the entire system of the College of Education. And we'll come up with a report every 2 years on this. So, and ICT is one of those things we monitor. We have a criteria for monitoring ICT in the College of Education. Then area of sustainability, as for the micro teaching lab, the NCC is also working on this. We have done some survey to see how many of these labs are still in shape. Believe me, it's just that I'm sorry to say this, the attitudes of some of our leaders in our schools. How will you be given such a befitting infrastructure and you cannot maintain it? Simple. The entire building filled with computers, with lab, with interactive boards, projectors and so on, internet facility attached with generators. So it is very, very simple that we try to make them to maintain this on their own as part of the sustainability plan. But most of them have not actually done that. But why some are making good use of the opportunity and even extended the facility to ensure that it is functional and it is working perfectly. So we should also look at the attitude of our leaders, our provosts, not even only in college of education, even the universities and polytechnics. What are we doing? What are our vice chancellors doing? We bring infrastructure. You go to some universities, you will see so many interventions. Dishes of visa here, how many visa, 2, 3, 4 visa, just lying fallow. A simple sustainability plan of maybe a student paying 1,000 naira a year
per semester.
Per semester is enough to actually maintain that. But what you see, I'm sorry, talking from experience, some of these monies collected and are not channeled towards
the purpose for which
purpose of collecting it. While I was here, one of my DICT from the colleges slipped a paper into my hand that I'm missing at something. Yes. Now, before I conclude, sir, we have developed a learning management system, as I mentioned in my speech. Now, we did this in collaboration with UPEC, and we have installed this learning management system for 25 colleges of education in Nigeria.
The name of the learning management system is?
It's just NCC Model Learning Management System. Now, it was built in-house in collaboration with our partners. On this platform, we have trained for each of these 25 schools or colleges, we trained 50 academic staff. So we have a total of about 1,250 teachers or teacher educators already trained on this platform. So from our end, the NCC is working and we keep working, doing what we know how to do best.
Thank you.
To ensure that ICT drives our colleges of education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Even though, yes, you can clap, you know, you can clap. The only challenge I have with that very good news is that it brings more variation to an already active ecosystem, you know, and that is also where, and that's one role that regulatory bodies need to, I think it may not be a good idea for, that's my thought, for NUC to be driving, for example, one LMS, NCC to be driving another LMS, NBT to be driving a third LMS, and maybe Tech Fund to be driving a fourth LMS. So we need to, you know, you said it, we need to talk more with each other. I think that's one of the things that can be an outcome of this conference, that we've seen a need for regulatory bodies to also begin to interact to forms of our standardization even within the regulatory bodies. So it's a good observation. Thank you for that submission, sir. And you see, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me take the first question. Issue of appointment of people that are not ICT certified. Yes, we observed that in NBC. Some people work with them. We did a survey last year. We had about 120 responses, and after analyzing those survey, we realized that majority of the ICT directors are not even qualified ICT. Yes. So one of the recommendation there was this need to stop, because there is no way you want to actually drive a ICT and the campus when you have those who doesn't understand what it is. Unfortunately, you know, I said something earlier that when we did the ICT policy there, we did put a caveat there that it should be the level of appointment. But with what we have seen last year, we are actually working on something that will come to the university very soon, because we feel those who are ICT qualified, who are qualified in Nigeria, they are retarding their growth. They can't grow more than a certain level. Because why should you be someone from biology, from zoology, or from the ICT director? It doesn't speak well at all. Even if they have interest in IT, but their interest is limited, their knowledge is limited, and they can't really plan, you know, in terms of ICT to actually, when it comes to ICT problems, to improve the system. Well, we have seen people around here that they say, they are not speaking to them. Fortunately, this is my brother that I see operator here. I've known him a long time ago. Before he became the ICT director, he was offering me professor in computer science. But he became the ICT director. That shows that they are actually doing the right thing, following the ICT policy. That was why he was able to grow to become director of ICT, and he was able to transform some of their systems. So what we are saying in essence is we need the right people in the right place. Something is coming from NUC. We have seen it. We have identified our issue, and I can assure you that we are going to solve that problem very soon. Secondly, on the issue of who are we, in all sincerity, we are not interacting with who are we on that aspect. I know who are we understand that when you come to NUC, we are strict in the sense that we look at the pros and the cons. Do you understand? Before we actually sell anything or advise our university system about a product. We have seen it in the past, and one of the lessons learned during the time of this ICT computer center, by one company, that end up in a litigation. So we are very careful in what we take to the university system. We have seen that, and that's why who are we preferred to go to individual universities instead of coming to us. So I won't say much about that. Then on the issue of economic of scale, well, is one thing that NUC always proud of itself for, because that's one of our focal points. And for those who understand very well, that was one of the focal points of establishing NGREN, because we feel that if we buy collectively, it's cheaper. But if you buy alone, it's expensive. And maintaining that trend is expensive. Let me cite an example. When ESCOs came, I know a lot of people were paying as much as 10 million or more than on ESCOs. But through NUC, using through NGREN, we sat down with ESCO and said, you know what, we cannot pay this amount of money. It's too expensive. And I recall then, initially, we agreed on 8 million, and at the point we agreed on 4 million. And I recall the last thing, ESCO said, he said, if you can give me 100 universities, I will take 2 million per university. But that was actually a good deal. Unfortunately, we could not get 100 universities to on board. I think I can't blame the director of ICT for that, and I cannot blame the university librarian for that. But it depends on the kind of leadership you are. If you have a transformational leadership in your institution, I'm sure you will take advantage of a situation like that. So those are one of the things that I feel we have done, and we still encourage. So that's why we said, if you are NGREN, you can bargain in terms of bandwidth capacity. You can bargain when it comes to subscription of databases, EBSCO, Science Direct, and all these things. When we go collectively, it's at our own advantage. When Blackboard came to Nigeria some time ago with the interface we thought, and the question I asked is, how much is it going to cost? And he said, $3 per student. And I said, no, it's expensive. Eventually, we didn't enter an agreement with them because we feel that long-term sustainability, university cannot sustain it. So, unfortunately, they are back now. Anyway. Oh, sorry. So, now we are back with with Blackboard, which is which I feel, well, I can't say much about that. So, when it comes to collective bargaining, we actually encourage that. And I think for ICT, the direct committee on ICT, I advise that you continue to put this forward to the regulators, that this is what you want, this is what you think, this is how you think, you can actually help you to do your work better. So come as a committee, see the head of the regulators, NUC, NCC, MBT. Just, bring out your challenges. That you feel that if you go this path, it will be cheaper for you. And I'm sure we collectively, we are ready to collaborate with you and to even collaborate with the funding agencies and other, other partners, even private sectors, to ensure that you get a price that is good for us. Lastly, on the issue of infrastructure through intervention. Well, there are some interventions we are not aware about in NUC, so we can't monitor what we don't know. That's one. Secondly, we believe that with some of the things we have seen in the past, sometimes you get intervention and the university end up not using them, which is quite appalling, because it's the same thing you want to spend money on. They bring it to you, and you end up not using it. Let me just cite UNIC as an example. When we did UNIC project, that was a long time ago, 2014, there is a lot of, NCC spent a lot of money through USPF to provide smart classrooms and, other ICT equipment. But unfortunately, a lot of universities are not using it. And those things became obsolete. So the question you should be asking is, do you need this intervention? That should be your first question. So if you have a good ICT policy on ground, your strategy, ask yourself, do you need this intervention? You see, you can actually negotiate with these people bringing that intervention. I have this. Give me something else.
It's not always easy.
Yes, I know. But you see, at some point, so the question is, there's no point giving you something you don't need. Because if they give you something you don't need, you are doing two things. You are wasting the slot for others that need it. At the same time, you are wasting the infrastructure. So, which need to be, we need to stop that. But you see, let me just say lastly, for us in NUC, we are committed to the effort of the ICTs. We are ready to collaborate with you. We are ready to go to places with you. Anything you want, just come to us. We are available. However, networking.
A clap is in order. They go to anywhere with us.
You see, networking, having bandwidth, having backbone, whatever devices, is not enough. But when we collaborate intelligently, we can go to a lot of places, and it's beneficial to all. Thank you very much.
So, thank you both our regulators. For the information of our participants on this panel, we were supposed to have a TETFON also seated at NBTE so that they will also share with us their experiences. We will hopefully get another forum where we get their perspectives on all this. So, 30 seconds, you said all that you need to say, but we can still give you 30 seconds to say one sentence as your closing remarks and no more. If you said it all, you can say, I pass, I've said all I want to say, but it's just good to give you the opportunity to have your closing remarks in one sentence.
It's all right, thank you.
Yeah, a question. Okay.
It's all right.
He has just one sentence.
Please, MC, our moderator, give me 2 minutes. Yes, our DICT from Kano just mentioned to me now, just to remind me of some of the support we are getting from NCC, like I've mentioned previously, USPF and PTDF. They're also supporting us in our colleges. Now, in my closing remark, the development of ICT in our colleges or in our tertiary institution is capital intensive. We cannot do this in isolation. There is need for partnership. There is need for collaboration. And this calls for having a framework for this collaboration. A framework for institutional collaboration or partnership, and also a framework for inter-agency collaboration and partnership. And for projects, we will need to co-create the projects. We need to co-invest in the projects, and also we will need to co-own the project if the project is to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. I think he just said, what actually I have in mind. That it's important that the ComDICT-NTI, you need to try and champion ICT collaboration framework. We can't do it in isolation. AUC cannot do it alone. NCC, MBT cannot do it alone. But you need to champion it so that when we have that, that framework, it will help in terms of collaboration, and it will send signal to all others that want to collaborate. And that's one thing. Another thing is we need to champion sustainability. It's important. And lastly, collaboration. No single university can succeed, or our tertiary institution can succeed on its own if you don't collaborate. You can start collaborating, and that collaboration should start from your states. The College of Education should talk to university should talk to the Polytechnic. When you start that way, then you build some level of collaboration that you cannot start, change, you cannot take to interstate, then, national. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, on this note, we want to thank both our panelists for the time, and we want to wish you all the best, SARS. Have a wonderful